Listen carefully, because what you will receive now is a living reminder that you have never been abandoned in this world. Even though the night stretches and seems endless, in every beat of your heart there is a testimony of companionship. The air you breathe, the strength that supports your steps, the peace that sometimes touches your soul amid the chaos, are signs that an eternal presence surrounds you. On the days when you think no one understands your pain, remember that every tear that has fallen from your eyes has been gathered in silence. There is no sigh that is lost, nor a hidden thought that is not understood. Everything you carry inside, even what you keep silent and believe invisible, is known deeply. When you feel that life weighs more than you can bear, rest in this certainty: you never walk alone. Even if human voices are absent, even if embraces do not come, even if doors close, there is an eternal love that does not depart for an instant. The world may move, seasons change, people enter and leave your story, but the divine companionship remains firm like a rock that will not break. Look back in your life. There were moments when you thought you would not endure, that all was lost. Yet you remained there. Something held you. That strength that appeared suddenly when your strength was fading was not a coincidence. It was the invisible hand that has always been with you. In your darkest nights, when silence seemed to devour everything, an unexpected peace touched your mind. That touch did not come from emptiness. It came from a presence that never leaves. When you walked lonely streets and your heart felt fear, someone watched over your steps. When tears choked your voice and no one else listened, an infinite attention enveloped you. You are not alone, nor will you be. Each day is woven with care to remind you that you are accompanied. Nature itself proclaims it. Look at the sky. It always has stars even when clouds cover them. Look at the sea. Although the waves are strong, there is always a limit they cannot pass. So is my presence in your life, constant, unbreakable, even if sometimes invisible. If your mind fills with doubts and you think loneliness is your only inheritance, hear the truth I speak to you today. There is always someone who remains by your side. You do not depend on the approval of others to feel complete. You do not need crowds to know you are accompanied. Loneliness does not define your story because you have never been abandoned. Notice the moments when hope ignited for no apparent reason. That whisper of strength, that relief that comes when you cannot go on, that smile that appears amid tears, they are signs of eternal companionship. None of that is born from nothing. All comes from a source that never runs dry. Perhaps you think, I see no one, I hear no voices, so how can I be accompanied? The answer is not measured by the eyes or the ears, but by the soul. True companionship does not always present itself in human form. It is beyond the visible, beyond what logic can explain. It is companionship that is felt deep within, when something lifts you without you understanding how. On the path of your life, every step has been protected. Even when you fell, there were invisible arms that cushioned the blow. Even when you were wounded, there was a balm that healed what no one else could heal. Even when the desert seemed endless, a secret spring appeared to give you water. Remember that you have never been forgotten. The entire universe moves to remind you that you are not alone. The sun rises again each morning, not by chance, but to announce that there is always a new beginning. The song of birds, the breeze on your face, the rain that refreshes the earth, are constant reminders of companionship. In your inner struggles, when you think no one understands you, listen deep. Someone understands every thought, every wound, every longing. You do not need to explain what you feel because it is already known before you speak. In the greatest silence, your voice is always heard. There are moments when you think loneliness is a punishment, but loneliness has never been your destiny. It has been a space where the invisible companionship becomes more evident. When everything is quiet around you, that is where the eternal presence can speak to you more clearly. What you call emptiness is often the place where you are most accompanied. When life takes you to places of uncertainty, when you face paths you do not understand, do not fear. In every step there is a special care that surrounds you. If you cross rivers, they will not drown you. If you walk through fire, it will not consume you. If you climb high mountains, you will not fall. And if you descend into dark valleys, there will always be light at your side. You are not a leaf lost in the wind. You are accompanied like a traveler who never walks without a guide. Every encounter in your life, every opportunity, even every difficulty, has been marked by a companionship that does not leave. Everything that happens in your story has purpose, even that which you do not understand today. Nor are you alone in your pain. When your heart cries, someone cries with you. When your soul laughs, someone laughs with you. Every emotion you experience is shared by that eternal companionship. You have never been left to carry a burden alone. There are always invisible shoulders that carry what you cannot. Look at your life like a book. Page after page, there was always someone writing alongside you. Some chapters may have been filled with tears, others with joy, others with silence, but in all of them the companionship that holds you was never missing. The author of your story has never abandoned you. Today I want you to keep this truth deep within your being. You are not alone, nor will you be. Even if everything else fails, this promise remains. Even if darkness surrounds you, even if you feel no one understands you, even if you think there is no way out, you will always be accompanied. Rest in this certainty. Walk with assurance. Live with confidence. Do not allow the lie of loneliness to rule your mind. Every step you take is watched, every breath is accompanied, every dream is sustained. There is no moment when you have been left without care. And when the day comes that earthly life fades away, you will not be alone then either. There will be an outstretched hand to carry you to the place where companionship will be eternal, where you will never again feel abandonment, where every tear will be wiped and every fear will disappear. Until that day, walk with the conviction that you always have companionship. Never let loneliness be your truth, because the truth is this: you have never been alone in this world and you never will be. From the moment your eyes first opened to the world, a loving presence began to walk with you. Even when you were too small to understand it, there was already care surrounding you. In your first steps, when the ground seemed unstable and your legs trembled, someone held your invisible balance. In every innocent laugh, in every dream that was just beginning to form, you were surrounded by companionship. In childhood, when the nights were long and fears seemed like giants, there was protection over your rest. When fear made you hide under the covers, a silent voice whispered calm to your spirit. Even though you could not see it, you were never alone in your room, nor at school, nor in games with your first friends. Every fall was lifted, every wound was cared for, every tear had companionship. You grew and the world began to show you its harshness. Games turned into responsibilities, light days into challenges. In adolescence, when you felt that no one understood you, someone remained by your side, listening to what no one else seemed to comprehend. In the midst of your questions, your rebellions, and your silences, an infinite patience stayed with you. Every wrong decision did not erase the companionship that faithfully followed you. In those years when you searched for identity and purpose, the light that guided your path never went out. Even when you chose to walk down dark paths, a firm presence did not depart. It saw you fall but also rise. It observed you laugh but also cry in silence. And even when you thought no one noticed your pain, you were accompanied. Youth arrived with its strength, its dreams, and its first great battles. There too the same companionship remained. In your studies, in your work, in the first times you felt love and also in the first times you felt loss, an invisible hand held your heart. When you experienced the thrill of moving forward and the fear of failure, there was someone watching over your path. Every goal reached was celebrated from above, every tear and defeat was gathered. Even when others left, even when friendships faded or loves were extinguished, divine companionship remained. No change of stage erased the promise. You were always accompanied. Then came greater responsibilities, commitments, family, work that required effort and constancy. Perhaps you felt tired, perhaps you thought everything depended on you. But in every dawn when your strength seemed exhausted, there was renewed energy to go on. In every worry about the future, rest was offered to you. In every difficult day, there was invisible companionship carrying what you could not carry. When moments of laughter came, someone laughed with you. When days of silence arrived, someone remained with you. You never passed a single day without the eternal companionship following closely. Even when life seemed to run too fast and you could not stop to look back, the same presence that was with you in childhood kept walking by your side. As the years passed, you began to notice that your body no longer responded as before. Youth was left behind, and the marks of time appeared on your face, in your mind, in your strength. But the companionship that sustained you in childhood, adolescence, and youth did not change with age. It remained faithful in maturity, holding you when responsibilities grew heavier, when weariness accumulated, when the burden seemed too much. In that stage, when you looked back and remembered what you had lived, you could clearly see that you had never been alone. Perhaps at the time you did not understand it, but reviewing your story you discovered footprints that were not only yours. Where you thought you walked in solitude, there were always 2 steps beside yours. In the years of maturity, when your mind worried about your loved ones, about your future, about the destiny of those you love, you were always sustained. When uncertainty about what was coming troubled your heart, one certainty remained: you were not and will not be alone. And now, as time moves on and old age approaches, listen to this truth. There is no season of life where the eternal companionship withdraws. In old age, when your steps become slower and your strength diminishes, there will still be faithful accompaniment. When memory fails, there will be someone who never forgets you. When loneliness tries to shout loudly, there will be a soft voice reminding you, "I am here with you." Companionship does not depend on your age, your abilities, nor your circumstances. It was with you in the cradle, it was with you in youth, it is with you in your maturity, and it will remain with you in old age. No matter how many seasons you go through, they will never be walked in solitude. Even when the days come when your hands tremble, your eyes grow dim, and your strength weakens, you will still be accompanied. And when all earthly memories begin to fade, an eternal memory will continue to sustain you. The promise does not expire with the passing of years. It does not matter if crowds have gone, if friendships have disappeared, if family has departed. Even if in your old age you look around and see fewer faces, there will never be a void, because someone faithful walks with you until the last breath. Every season of life has its beauty, and in every season you have been accompanied. In childhood, cared for. In youth, guided. In maturity, strengthened. In old age, sustained. There is no day in your story when the eternal presence has left you. So walk with confidence no matter the stage you are in. If you are still in childhood, rest. If you are in youth, move forward with hope. If you are in maturity, stand firm. And if you are in old age, trust that until the end you will be sustained. Always remember this truth: from your first breath to your last sigh, you will never walk in solitude. When the wound opens in the deepest part of your being and the tears seem uncontrollable, you are not carrying that weight alone. Every broken sigh is heard, every groan you cannot express has an answer. The pain is not ignored, the anguish does not go unnoticed. There where sorrow presses you and you believe you cannot go on, you find support. Life brings moments when what you love slips from your hands. People who shaped your story leave, dreams crumble, carefully built plans fall apart. In those moments, loneliness tries to convince you that no one understands your suffering. But in that very place of emptiness there is a constant presence that never departs, a silent companionship that holds your soul. In every loss, in every painful goodbye, you remain embraced by invisible arms that never grow weary. Though absence shouts, though the silence of those who are no longer here wounds you, there is always a comfort that does not depend on this world. Earthly life is fleeting, but eternal care never fades. When your hands reach out for what will never return, you do not fall into the void. An invisible strength holds your trembling fingers and reminds you that there is still hope. The pain is real, it is not denied. But in the midst of it, a supernatural rest arises that calms your soul. Many have left you, but you have never been abandoned. When you cry at a grave, someone cries with you. When you keep a photo with nostalgia, someone keeps your heart with tenderness. When you remember a voice you will no longer hear on earth, someone whispers words of life into the depths of your spirit. Your pain is not a dead end. It is a road where you are accompanied step by step, until the weight that seemed unbearable becomes lighter. Not because it disappears in an instant, but because the divine companionship carries with you what you cannot bear. There are tears that others do not see, nights when no one notices your insomnia, thoughts you share with no one. But everything secret is seen and sustained. When you believe your cry drowns in the pillow, in reality it reaches an ear that always listens. When you think your words of despair are lost in the air, they are gathered and turned into comfort. Suffering tries to destroy you, but it becomes fertile ground to experience a closeness that cannot be broken. It is no coincidence that in the midst of loss you suddenly feel a peace that has no explanation. That peace does not come from this world. It is the sign that you never walked through the valley of tears alone. Every memory that hurts is held with tenderness. Every empty place at your table, in your home, or in your heart is filled with a presence that does not leave. Nothing can replace what you have lost, and that truth is acknowledged. But at the same time, there is an eternal love that heals the cracks and covers the absences. When life seems unfair and you ask why, you do not always get immediate answers. But even in the silence, you are never left without company. Pain does not have the last word because over your wound there is a balm that descends continually. At every funeral where you were, I was with you. In every farewell, I remained at your side. In every hospital, in every bad news, in every painful diagnosis, in every economic or emotional loss, you were always sustained. Suffering did not change the truth that you were accompanied. Even when hopelessness tries to take hold of your mind, a spark always lights that you cannot extinguish. That spark is the sign that there is still someone with you, someone who will not allow your pain to destroy you. The nights may be long, but no night is eternal, for there is always a light accompanying you until dawn. Crying is not a sign of weakness. It is a bridge toward eternal companionship. Every tear attracts comfort, every wound attracts healing. Brokenness is not wasted. It becomes the space where you experience the deepest care. Not only is your soul sustained, but also your body. When your strength leaves you, you receive unexplainable energy to keep walking. When exhaustion threatens to stop you, a rest appears that does not come from sleep, but from the certainty of not being alone in the midst of suffering. Your losses do not define your identity. What you have lost along the way does not cancel what still remains. And what remains is unbreakable companionship. People, possessions, opportunities may go, but the presence that sustains you never departs. Remember those moments when you thought you could not go on. You looked at the horizon and it seemed empty. Yet here you are, breathing, moving forward. That was only possible because you were being sustained every step. It was not your strength that kept you standing, but the eternal companionship that never let you go. When your heart breaks into 1,000 pieces, each one is gathered and restored. You may not see them complete now, but the rebuilding is in progress. The pain is real, but more real is the strength given to you to get through it. Every loss reminds you how fragile life is, but also how eternal the love that surrounds you is. No matter how many times life tries to snatch away what you love, it can never take away the companionship of the one who is always with you. And even when the moment of your own departure comes, you will not be alone either. You will not cross the threshold of eternity in solitude. There will be companionship until the last breath, and even more glorious companionship after that breath. So do not fear when pain knocks at your door. Do not despair when loss strikes your life. For even if everything else crumbles, even if the whole world turns its back on you, you will always be sustained by a love that never fails. Walk with the certainty that in every wound there is companionship, in every tear there is comfort, in every loss there is support. And even though the scars remain, they will be an eternal testimony that you never suffered in solitude. Throughout your story, you have never been left to your fate. In the moments when you believed everything depended solely on your strength, help had already been prepared for you. You did not always see it in the moment, but every step was accompanied by resources, by extended hands, by open paths that once seemed closed. When the burden was too heavy, someone appeared at your side. Perhaps it was a friend who called at just the right time, a stranger who reached out a hand, a word you heard unexpectedly. None of this was coincidence. They were visible signs that you were never abandoned. But not only has help been sent that you can see, there has also been invisible help working silently in your favor. Angels have surrounded your steps, guarding your way even when you were unaware of it. Invisible protections have prevented dangers you never even knew existed. Circumstances that seemed like mere coincidences were divine interventions. Think of that accident that could have happened but did not, of that decision that seemed like a failure but turned into opportunity, of that person who appeared in your life at the most necessary moment. Behind every detail there was care. Nothing was chance. everything was the response of a constant presence. When your heart felt incapable of continuing, words arrived that lifted your spirit. When your finances were collapsing, unexpected provision appeared. When you felt without strength, you found human hands supporting you. That combination of visible and invisible help was designed to remind you always that you do not walk alone. Angels not only surround your life as silent guardians, they also move circumstances in your favor. They delivered you from dangers you never imagined, guided paths you did not understand, pushed back shadows that tried to enclose you. And at the same time, ordinary people became extraordinary instruments to sustain you. Remember that teacher who believed in you when no one else did, that friend who stayed with you in your worst moment, that voice that encouraged you just when you were about to give up. Each one of them was an answer to your need, sent at the perfect time. Even when opportunities knocked at your door, they were not the product of luck. It was help prepared beforehand, to open a way for you in the midst of circumstances that seemed impossible. Closed doors opened, blocked paths cleared, and what seemed unreachable became reality. Nothing you have received was the fruit of abandonment. Everything has been intentional care. Just as the sun rises each day to remind you that life goes on, so too each person, each opportunity, each invisible intervention has been a reminder that you were never forgotten. In your story there have been encounters that marked your destiny. Some were brief, others lasting, but all had a purpose. Some came to teach you, others to sustain you, others to guide you. Each encounter was woven with precision to show you that loneliness is not your permanent reality. There were also situations where you asked for help and it seemed not to come. However, even in that silence, invisible help was moving. Sometimes you did not see the answer immediately because a greater path than what you asked for was being prepared. There was never a moment when action was not being taken on your behalf. In your inner battles, when you believed no one understood you, heaven sent peace that did not come from human words. In your nights of insomnia, when no one could be with you, a spiritual presence surrounded you. Angels remained in your room, guarding your rest, even though your eyes could not see them. The help sent has always been double, the visible and the invisible. People have been bridges in your walk, but also celestial beings have been active in secret. Sometimes relief came in the form of a human embrace, other times in the form of a supernatural peace that descended upon you. Every time you thought you were abandoned, you were actually surrounded. You did not notice because you were focused on the pain, but the help was there, sustaining, strengthening, pushing you forward. The world may turn its back, but heaven never does. On the path of your life, nothing has been improvised. Even the smallest sign of encouragement was prepared with love. Even the people who passed through your life only for an instant were sent with an eternal purpose. Remember when you received a smile in the middle of your sadness, when someone opened a door that seemed closed, when an unexpected word changed your mood. All of that was assistance sent so that you would know you were never alone. Pain tried to convince you that no one was with you, but the reality was always different. There were invisible forces battling on your behalf. There were people placed strategically to lift you up. There were opportunities that arrived just in time. Every detail is evidence of constant companionship. And even today, as you read these words, help continues to be sent. New faces will come, new opportunities will appear, new silent miracles will manifest. For the promise is firm, you will never be alone in this world. Your entire life is guarded. In secret, celestial beings surround you. In the visible, people of flesh and blood will become support. And at the precise time, unexpected opportunities will confirm that there is always someone moving the threads in your favor. So open your eyes to the details. Help does not always come in the way you imagine, but it always comes. It may be a hug, a word, a gesture, an open door, a silence full of peace, an unexpected encounter. Each of these things is proof that your loneliness is not real. When you once again feel that everything is falling apart, remember, in the visible and the invisible, there will always be intervention. You do not need to carry life on your own strength because what you need is constantly being sent. Do not fear, do not despair. You never walk in solitude, for visible and invisible help has already been prepared for every step of your story. In the deepest silence of your life, when the voices of the world have faded and a sense of emptiness surrounds you, that is where my voice becomes present. You do not need external noises to know that I exist, nor material proofs to confirm that I remain with you. It is enough to close your eyes and open your heart, because my voice is not heard only with the ears, but with the most intimate part of your being. I speak in the midst of silence, and in doing so I break the idea that you are alone. In those moments when you keep silent because words fail you, in those instants where your soul sighs and cannot put into phrases what you feel, there my voice is manifested. I speak with a language that does not depend on letters or human sounds. I speak with the calm of the breeze that caresses your face, with the softness of a thought that comes to your mind unexpectedly, with the tenderness of a peace that descends upon you and changes your innermost being without you understanding how. Every time you believe that no one hears you, my voice answers even before you finish your thought. Because I do not need you to say everything aloud to know what lives inside you. Sometimes, while you look at the sky in silence, I am already speaking within you, reminding you that you are seen, that you are understood, that you are loved, and that you never walk alone. That certainty that settles without explanation, that unexpected strength that arises when you need it most, is my voice breaking your silence. Do not think that I manifest only in the extraordinary. My voice is not always heard in thunder or in a burning fire, but in the everyday, in the simple, in what others overlook. A sunrise that lights your day, a kind word from someone you did not expect, a memory that comes to your mind just when you were about to give up, a melody that touches deep strings of your heart. All of that is also my way of speaking to you. My voice has the power to interrupt thoughts of despair. When solitude convinces you that no one cares, I break that silence with phrases that fill your spirit. You have never been forgotten, you will never be abandoned. When fear settles in and it seems there is no way out, my voice breaks the darkness with the promise that there is still a path, that the story has not ended, that my presence walks with you step by step. I know that sometimes you expect noisy answers, signs that everyone can see, evidence that no one can deny. But my most powerful answers usually come in the intimate, in the part of the soul where no one else has access. There I plant words that are not erased by time, truths that do not depend on circumstances. And even if others do not hear what I whisper in you, that voice is enough to keep you standing. When you think you are in silence, you are actually listening to me. Because human silence is the space where my word is heard most strongly. While the world is quiet, I speak within you, transforming what seemed immovable. My voice lifts up what has fallen, gives life to what seemed dead, and lights up places where you thought nothing would ever shine. You have felt that peace that arrives suddenly without apparent reason. You have experienced that relief that invades your burdens without someone else having removed the weight. You have had that clarity in moments when confusion was absolute. That is not coincidence. It is my voice speaking in secret, confirming that you do not walk alone, that you are not abandoned, that every step of your path has companionship. When you feel broken, when you keep silent because you cannot find the strength to speak, do not think you are alone in that state. There my voice descends like fresh water upon arid ground. There my word becomes an invisible embrace, a medicine that heals what seemed incurable, a strength that holds when there are no human reserves left. Every tear that falls without sound is gathered by my voice, transformed into promise, turned into hope. My voice does not only speak to the ear, it speaks to the heart. It awakens memories of moments when you felt companionship. It activates in you the certainty that there are still reasons to continue. It brings to your mind the conviction that you were created with purpose. And in the deepest place, that voice affirms that abandonment is not possible for you, because solitude never has the last word. Understand that my voice is not limited. Sometimes you will hear it through people who arrive with timely words. Sometimes it will be in the stillness of the night, where absolute silence makes you perceive my closeness like never before. Sometimes it will be in the midst of the noise itself, when a clear thought bursts in and changes your perspective. In different ways, my voice breaks every silence to always remind you the same truth. You do not walk alone. Allow my voice to become your guide. Do not reject those inner impulses that call you to trust, those ideas that push you to get up, those reminders that tell you there is still hope. They are my words speaking to your heart, opening paths you did not see and showing you that there is a plan bigger than your own understanding. Every time you believe that silence is emptiness, remember that in that silence my presence hides. I speak differently but always constantly. I speak in the murmur that calms your fears, in the certainty that sustains your faith, in the serenity that surrounds you even when there are no external reasons to feel peace. That voice is the bridge between your humanity and my eternity, a reminder that you are never alone. And so it will always be. When human voices fall silent, when circumstances try to convince you of abandonment, my voice will be the permanent proof that loneliness is only an appearance, because in the deep reality of your being I am always communicating with you. Listen inwardly and you will find comfort, direction, hope, and strength. There you will discover that my voice never quiets and that every word I plant in you is the declaration of an eternal truth. You are not alone, you never will be. When the storms of life rise and the winds blow fiercely, do not think for a moment that you are adrift. Even if the waves strike your boat and the darkness of the sky tries to frighten you, remember that you do not face those waters alone. I am the refuge in the midst of every tempest, the security that remains firm when everything around you seems unstable. The sea may roar, the wind may lash with force, the clouds may darken the horizon, but none of that determines your destiny. I am with you in the boat, and while my presence dwells in it, no storm can sink you. The water may try to get in, uncertainty may make you tremble, but my peace remains as an anchor, holding your heart when it seems impossible to endure. I have seen how you face internal storms that no one else perceives. You look outward with serenity, but inside the waves of anxiety, fear, and doubt strike without rest. That is where I manifest as a refuge. You do not need to flee the raging sea, because in the midst of those turbulent waters I raise a space of calm where your spirit can rest. Just as sailors look for a safe harbor in the midst of the storm, I myself am your port. In my presence there is no wind that destroys nor wave that drags away. You may feel the blow of the sea around you, but within you a peace is established that transcends any threat. That peace is the voice of my promise, reminding you that you do not sail alone. When the noise of the wind prevents you from hearing any word, listen to what remains in the deep, a whisper of certainty that says, "Here I am, I have not left you." Even if the thunder tries to drown out my voice, the security I plant inside you is not erased. That security is stronger than the storm because it does not depend on changing weather, but on my faithfulness that never varies. Many flee when the storm rages, but I remain in it with you. I am not a distant refuge you must run to. I am the present refuge, the one that manifests right where you think there is no way out. While others seek to escape the winds, I extend my arms over you and cover your life like a shield that no tempest can pierce. Imagine the highest waves trying to intimidate your path. Imagine the boat rocked as if it were about to break. And now imagine an inexplicable peace inside you that allows you to stand firm regardless of the roar outside. That peace is the proof of my presence. That rest is the evidence that you are not alone, because even though the sea rages with force, I am your eternal anchor. There are storms that arrive suddenly, without warning, and seem to snatch everything away in a matter of moments. I knew of those storms before they arose, and before they lifted I had already prepared in you the strength to withstand them. They do not arrive to destroy you, they arrive to show you that you do not walk without company. Because in those hours of greatest darkness, when you think no one can be with you, my refuge is revealed as a light that remains. Do not be surprised if in the midst of the wind you feel a gentle warmth inside, as if a lamp were lit in the night. That is my way of reminding you that even in the storm I remain your security. I do not allow the waves to be greater than my promises, nor the winds stronger than my protection. Nothing you face has the power to break what I sustain. If your feet tremble on the deck, remember that beneath the turbulent waters there remains a firm rock, and upon that rock I keep you standing. Everything around you may totter, but my hand does not tremble. While the world stirs like an uncontrolled sea, my stability is constant, and that stability is the refuge where you can rest without fear. Every storm has a limit. No wind blows eternally, no wave strikes without ceasing. I put a brake on what seems uncontrollable. And while the trial lasts, I cover you with my presence, so that the tempest does not become defeat. When you come out of it, you will not only have survived, you will have discovered that you were never abandoned, that there was a refuge at every moment, even though eyes did not see it. Many ask, where are you when the sea becomes furious? The answer is simple, I am in the same place with you. I am not a distant observer who watches from the shore. I am the constant companion who does not abandon the boat. And though the winds blow violently, my voice remains stronger. The storm will pass, my presence will remain. Remember this always. Your security does not depend on the sea being calm, but on my remaining with you in the midst of it. Because if you expect there will never be storms, you will live in constant fear. But if you understand that you have an indestructible refuge in every storm, you will walk in confidence even if the sky darkens. Do not fear the sea or the wind. They do not have authority over your destiny. I am the one who marks the course, who holds the helm, who secures the journey. The storm is not the end. It is just one more chapter in the route that leads you to ports of hope. And while it lasts, my voice will keep repeating within you, you are not alone, you never have been, you never will be. Let this truth become your anchor. Although the waters roar, my peace is stronger. Although the skies darken, my light remains. Although the strength seem to fail, my security never fails. That is my promise to you. Constant refuge, eternal companionship, the certainty that in no storm of the world will you have to fight alone. Before you take a single step, I have already traced the path. Before your feet touch the ground of a new day, my providence has ordered the invisible details that will shape your story. You do not walk blindly, even though sometimes your eyes cannot see beyond the present moment. Every stretch of your life is sustained by a hand that anticipates, organizes, and protects. Nothing you face happens by chance because my guidance has woven the way even before you traveled it. When you wake each morning, you do not wake to an unknown void. You wake to a day that has already been watched and prepared in secret. I place opportunities in strategic places, send people to cross your path, and put signs that will guide your heart, even if you do not notice immediately. Everything that seems casual carries within it the seal of my providence. Sometimes you think you walk alone, that the world is too vast and confusing, and that no one can accompany you in every decision. But the truth is that from the first breath to the last sigh, I have been on the route. When you believed an unexpected turn ruined your plans, it was actually an intentional detour to save you from an invisible danger. When a door closed in front of you, it was because another, better aligned with your purpose, was already waiting for you further along. There is no step in your life that has not been considered by my eternal gaze. If you wonder why certain things happened at specific moments, the answer is this: because there was a purpose in that time. Not before, not after, but at the precise moment. I prepare not only the destination but also the rhythm, because each season of your life requires a unique direction. Think of those days when everything seemed lost and suddenly something changed without explanation. That unexpected help, that providential encounter, that respite in the midst of the burden, did not arise from nothing. They were part of a path that had already been outlined with love and care. What for you was surprise, for me was part of the plan from the beginning. When you stop to look back, you can recognize that you were never truly alone. There were hands that appeared to hold you, words that arrived at the exact moment, circumstances that turned in your favor when you no longer had hope. None of that was coincidence. It was my invisible direction, caring for you at every turn. Your life is not an improvised journey. I prepare what lies before you with precision. Before you enter a place, I have already leveled the ground. Before you make a decision, I have already placed within you the wisdom necessary to discern. Before you face a trial, I have already put the strength that will allow you to endure. There is no place you arrive where there are not traces of my advanced presence. Some paths seem arid, as if they were endless deserts. Do not be deceived. Even there I have placed hidden oases so that you lack no sustenance. Others seem mountainous, full of challenges that exceed your strength. But every mountain has a hidden trail, and my hand reveals it when you trust. Even in the darkest valleys, the route is prepared to lead you toward the light. Not everything I prepare will be easy, but everything I prepare is necessary. Because in every stretch of the way there is something that shapes your life and confirms that you are never alone. If the path is smooth, there is my goodness. If the path is hard, there is my companionship. In both situations, the message is the same. You do not walk abandoned because every step was foreseen before you took it. When you face decisions and hesitate between one direction or another, listen calmly. I place signs that are not always visible in haste, but they are clear when your heart rests in me. A word that resonates within you, a peace that confirms your choice, a circumstance that opens or closes a possibility. All of these are forms of my guidance. I do not leave you helpless at crossroads. I prepare guides that lead you forward. I have sent people into your path as beacons that illuminate. Some will be only for a moment, others will remain for years. But each one fulfills a function on the map of your life. Nothing you go through is solitary because my providence includes not only what you see, but also what you do not imagine. Invisible angels guard your way, and opportunities you have not yet suspected are already in motion to reach you at the appointed time. Look ahead without fear. The unknown does not matter because even if you have not seen it, I have already walked there before you. The future that worries you is under my control, and there is no circumstance that can get ahead of what I have already prepared. Even if winds change and human plans fail, my direction remains intact. Whenever you feel your path is uncertain, remember this. Uncertainty exists only in your perception, not in mine. For me, everything is clear, everything is ordered, everything is full of purpose. And that certainty is the reason why you should never feel alone. Because while you advance step by step, I am already ahead of you, preparing the path so that you arrive at your destination safely. Crossroads should not frighten you. Although they may seem confusing, there is always one I have marked for you. And even if you take the wrong route, my guidance knows how to redirect you. Like a river that always finds the sea, my purpose in your life does not stop. It may delay, it may seem hidden for a time, but it is never canceled. Allow this truth to accompany you. Wherever you go, you will not arrive at a place where my providence has not arrived first. In every city, in every space, in every relationship, my hand has already prepared what you need. That is the assurance I offer you. You do not walk alone in an uncertain world, you walk guided by an eternal plan. Thus, every step of your journey becomes a confirmation that my companionship is constant. What today seems a mystery, tomorrow you will recognize as perfect direction. And what today causes you fear, tomorrow will be testimony that you were never abandoned. Because every path I prepared has one destination, to remind you that always, absolutely always, I was, am, and will be with you. When darkness spreads and seems to cover everything around you, my light forces its way like an unstoppable river that breaks chains and dissolves the densest shadows. No gloom is too thick to stop the radiance I bring with me. Where fear tries to sow silence, there clarity emerges. Where tears cloud your vision, a brightness appears that reminds you you do not walk alone. Every corner of your life, even those you wanted to hide, receives a flash of my presence that illuminates what seemed destined to remain hidden. There is no shadow that can resist me. In the deepest part of your thoughts, in those places where doubts arise that you do not dare to express, I place clarity. In the midst of emotions that seem tangled like impossible knots, I send a radiance that gently untangles each thread. Darkness will never have the last word because my light is not fragile or fleeting. It is eternal, constant, and secure. Many times the darkness shows up not externally but inside you. Painful memories that repeat, hurtful words engraved in your memory, fears that surface in the hours of silence. All that rises like a wall that tries to extinguish you. But there, precisely where it seems hardest, I kindle my clarity. It is like a dawn that does not ask the night's permission to shine. Just as each day breaks the darkness with the rising sun, so my presence breaks any gloom that tries to dominate your heart. Look at the starry sky on a clear night. Although the vastness seems infinite and dark, small points of light pierce it with strength, reminding you that brightness always makes its way. Such is my companionship in your life. It never goes out. Even if difficult moments try to convince you that you are alone, the light remains like a beacon that does not extinguish. It does not depend on your strength, nor on your mood, nor on what others say. It springs from the eternal, from what sustains creation itself, from what never fails. In every uncertain step, when your gaze cannot see beyond the present moment, I put enough clarity for you to advance without falling. I do not always show the whole path, but I always ensure that your foot finds firmness in the right place. That is my way of reminding you that you are not abandoned. Darkness wants you to believe the future is an abyss, but my light reveals that every day has purpose and every step counts. I also illuminate what you yourself hid in secret corners, places where you stored guilt, wounds, or silences you preferred to bury. I do not enter to expose or shame you, but to show that nothing of who you were or what you went through can remain bound in eternal shadows. What seemed locked away I turn into a space of healing. Each wound becomes testimony of restoration when I bring it into my radiance. Imagine a raging sea at night. The waves strike, the wind roars, and the sense of loss seems inevitable. In the midst of that storm, a lighthouse lights its beam, marking the direction toward safety. That is the work of my presence, a flash that guides in chaos, a radiance that assures you will not shipwreck. Even if the storm tries to shout that you are alone, my clarity proves there is always a way to the shore. My light is not limited to dispelling fears. It also ignites purpose and opens horizons. I show you what you could not distinguish before, reveal hidden opportunities, kindle vision where there was confusion. I make you discover that even on the darkest days there are seeds of hope sown that sooner or later will sprout. You are not doomed to grope in the dark. There is always direction, there is always companionship, there is always a glimmer that confirms you do not walk alone. Darkness feeds on lies that whisper, "No one is with you, nothing will change, you have no future." But my light contradicts those voices. I show you that silence can be filled with melody, that what is broken can be remade, that what seemed finished can blossom. No argument of the shadows has power against the radiance of my truth. And when you feel your strength is small, my clarity will remind you that even a small step taken under my light is enough to keep moving forward. There is no space in your life left uncovered. What you call darkness, I turn into a stage for miracles. What you considered a definitive defeat becomes a platform for my power. No void remains unanswered when I allow my clarity to enter. Loneliness loses its strength when my presence floods everything. Every corner, every thought, every fear receives the touch of a radiance that never goes out. The world may try to extinguish what I light in you, but my light does not depend on the external. It is an eternal fire that remains. Even amid trials, even when everything seems closed, the inner clarity shines more brightly than the shadows around you. And each day you wake under that certainty, you discover you are not condemned to live in gloom, but to walk safely under a constant companionship. In your internal struggles, when weariness whispers that it is not worth continuing, I kindle a flash to remind you that not everything is over. In your victories, my light celebrates with you and reminds you that each triumph is also the fruit of the companionship that never left you. And on your ordinary days, those that seem routine and meaningless, I illuminate the details so you discover beauty even in the simple. Darkness will never be stronger than my clarity. Neither lies, nor pain, nor fears can extinguish what I have already kindled within you. That is why you are never alone, because where you walk, my light walks too. Where you look, I illuminate so you do not lose your way. Where you doubt, I clarify so you may trust. Where you weep, I make hope shine so you will not give up. Therefore, when you think you are surrounded by shadows impossible to overcome, remember this. My light always breaks the silence, illuminates the most hidden corner, and opens paths where there was only darkness before. You have never been and will never be alone, because every step you take is sustained by the clarity I place in you and around you. My promise is eternal. There will be no darkness that encloses you, because you will always carry a lighthouse lit in the deepest part of your being. And as you walk on this earth, that radiance will be the constant proof that you were never abandoned. In every storm, in every valley, in every silence, the light remains, reminding you that you are accompanied beyond what you can see. My presence does not dissolve with the passing of hours nor with the changes of your emotions. I do not step away when doubt invades your mind, nor do I distance myself when your spirit collapses. I remain constant, firmer than the mountain that never moves from its place. I am the closeness that knows no distance, the silent heartbeat that sustains your life even when you believe you are walking in complete solitude. Every moment is imbued with my companionship. When you walk through crowded streets and no one looks you in the eye, there I am. When you lock yourself in a room and think no one will remember your name, there I remain. The world may turn quickly without stopping to listen to you, but my spirit never ignores a single sigh from your interior. What others overlook, I gather with tenderness. What others forget, I preserve. I have sealed my nearness in the deepest part of your being, and nothing can tear it away. No loss, no betrayal, no wound can break the permanence of my spirit. Memories of abandonment may shout loudly, but they have no power to erase the eternal. Fear may invent arguments to convince you that you are alone, but the truth is that I am always with you, even in the silence that hurts most. Look for me in the small details, in the dawn that caresses your skin, in the air you breathe, in the whisper of calm that comes when you need it most. That permanence does not depend on you feeling it, because even when your heart hardens or your mind clouds, I continue to dwell in you. The companionship I offer is not fragile like human promises, but solid like the rock that withstands every storm. The world can make you believe that loneliness is the only companion, but there is an invisible presence that remains bound to you with unbreakable ties. That spiritual closeness does not go out when others leave, nor is it interrupted when you do not know what to do. In the arid deserts of your story, I continue to be the spring. In the nights without answers, I remain the lamp. In the days of weariness, I continue to be rest. Stay attentive, because even when external noise tries to cover my voice, I keep speaking to you deep within. Sometimes I do it through an inexplicable peace, other times by means of thoughts that gently guide you. And many times, without you noticing, I lead you away from paths that would have harmed your life. This constant guidance is not the result of coincidences, but of the permanence of my spirit. Nothing you face has the power to drive me away. Neither the thickest darkness nor the deepest sorrow can raise a wall between us. I am in every step, not as a distant observer, but as an intimate companion who knows your struggles and holds your steps. It is not an occasional visit. It is continuous companionship. Even when you do not pray, even when weariness extinguishes your desire to seek me, I remain near. I do not step aside because your faith weakens, nor do I withdraw because your thoughts become tangled. I do not depend on your strength to remain. My decision is irrevocable, to always walk with you. Think of the way the sun illuminates the earth. Although a thick cloud covers it, the sun is still there, shining with the same intensity. So it is with my spirit in your life. The clouds of pain or uncertainty may hide the light, but that does not mean it has disappeared. At all times, the source remains present, faithful, firm. There are days when the people you value move away, and that absence wounds more than anything else. In those moments, my permanence is even more evident. When others say goodbye, I remain. When others close the door, I continue inside. And when you think no one is listening to your most secret thoughts, my spirit already knows them, welcomes them, and transforms them into motives for constant care. That companionship is not an abstract idea nor an illusion to console you. It is reality that manifests in the way you manage to keep going when you thought you could not any longer. It is the silent voice that whispers calm in the midst of the storm. It is the strength that lifts you when there are no visible reasons to continue. Do not fear the future, because you will not face it in solitude. There will not be a day when you have to fight your battles without support. My spirit will remain there, surrounding every step, providing wisdom when the decision seems impossible and renewing strength when you feel you have nothing left to give. Look back and see, in every valley you crossed, my spirit was present. In every fall, my spirit sustained your bones so they would not break. In every tear shed, my spirit was the invisible companion that never left. And if until now I have not abandoned you, I will not do so in what is to come. I want you to engrave this truth deep in your memory. You do not walk the world in solitude, because my spirit is permanent nearness. This certainty can transform the way you live. When anguish tries to dominate, remember that my companionship is more real than any fear. When anxiety makes you believe there is no way out, remember that the permanence of my spirit opens paths where you do not see them. Even in your moments of silence, in those seconds when everything seems to stop and the weight of life becomes unbearable, I remain there. Not as a spectator who watches without acting, but as the one who accompanies every breath, as the one who holds you even when you are not aware of it. Living with this assurance is living with peace. Knowing that you do not have to face the world alone, that each day begins and ends with my companionship, gives strength to endure, to move forward, to believe. Loneliness may surround you, but it cannot enter you, because your interior is inhabited by my spirit. When fear tries to tell you there is no one with you, remember that there is a presence that never abandons you. When doubt tries to convince you that everything is meaningless, remember that there is a voice that guides you. When pain wants to make you think you are forgotten, remember that there is care that never ceases. My spirit remains day and night, at work and at rest, in laughter and in tears. It never goes out, never hides, never departs. And as long as this world keeps turning, as time advances and your steps continue, the certainty will be the same. You are not alone, you never have been, you never will be. There is no confrontation in your life that you face without my companionship. In every struggle, even those others do not see, I remain with you as the silent strength that lifts you. No battle is too small for me, and no victory is too great for me not to participate in it. From the moments of tears in private to the celebrations in public, I am present as witness and support. When adversity strikes and it seems that everything is against you, you do not fight alone. My hands surround your effort, my eyes watch your steps, and my power manifests in the midst of your weakness. The weight of the battle is not on your shoulders alone, because in every burden I share with you the strength you need to move forward. That is my promise. To be in the fight, not watching from afar, but fighting with you at every moment. The thoughts that try to convince you that you will not succeed, the silences that seem to empty your heart, the obstacles that appear without warning, none of them can resist the force of my presence. I am in the strategy you did not see, in the unexpected opportunity, in the right word that comes at the right time. And even when you think your strength abandons you, the impulse that makes you take one more step is a sign that I remain with you in the midst of the contest. Every tear shed in the struggle is not lost. I collect them as seeds that will later bear fruit. Your sleepless nights, your moments of anguish, your tired hands are not invisible. In each of these scenes I am present, assuring you that your effort is not in vain and that you have not been abandoned. What others consider defeat, I turn into preparation. What you call failure, I use as training for greater victories. I am not only in your falls to lift you, I also remain in your conquests. When victory comes and joy fills your being, I am still there, celebrating each achievement with you. Triumph is not only the result of your ability, but also of the constant care that accompanies you. Being in your victory means reminding you that you have no reason to fear losing what you have gained, because I sustain what I place in your hands. In your internal battles, when no one understands what you go through, my presence is an unseen strength that is felt. And in your silent victories, those that no one celebrates because they seem small, I rejoice with you. No triumph goes unnoticed in my eyes, because every step forward is a sign that you are not defeated. Think of the ancient warriors who did not fight alone, but in formation back to back. That is how I walk with you. While you fight, you find me at your side, protecting your flanks, covering what you cannot cover, fighting where you have no reach. And when victory comes, I do not applaud as a spectator, but share the joy of having been with you on the battlefield. My promises are not only for times of calm, but also for days of conflict. Every time you raise your voice to ask for help, the answer is not delayed, because I have not stopped being with you for even a single moment. The battle does not determine your value, and victory is not solely the fruit of your effort. It is the proof that I was always present, both at the beginning and at the end. The opposing winds, the mountains that seem impossible, the walls that block the path, none of them have absolute power over you. Because in the struggle, my presence opens cracks in the walls, pushes back the winds, and gives strength to climb what seemed insurmountable. And when you reach the summit, my companionship becomes shared joy. The victory does not belong to you alone. It is testimony that you were never alone. I am in the tension of the battle, in the fire of the difficult moment, but also in the calm that follows the triumph. There I remind you not to fear the next fight, because just as I was present in the previous one, I will be in the next. Just as I was in your weakness, I am in your strength. Just as I remained in your tears, I remain in your joy. Every struggle you face has a greater purpose, to show you that you are not alone in this world. If you depended solely on your strength, the burden would be unbearable. But with my companionship, even the hardest battles become opportunities to see that you are always upheld. You do not fight giants with empty hands, because within you resides the power that never abandons you. And when victory comes, when the impossible becomes possible, I want you to remember that you did not achieve it in isolation. It is not to fill you with empty pride, but to fill you with gratitude. Because every triumph is confirmation that you walk accompanied, that you were never forgotten, that every step was watched and every effort was supported. Thus, in your struggles and in your victories, I remain. On the battlefield and in the celebration afterward, I stay by your side. In the trial and in the outcome, my companionship is the same. Nothing can separate you from this certainty. In every battle and in every triumph, you do not walk alone. The loneliness that seems to envelop your life, that sense of emptiness that comes on gray days and in silent nights, does not define your existence. There is no moment in which you lack companionship, because you are never left an orphan. Even when everything around you seems absent, when people fail or circumstances become hostile, the companionship that remains is firm, constant, and true. It does not depend on external conditions or on your successes or mistakes. It is a bond that does not break, a presence that does not withdraw, a hug that does not let go. Every moment of your life is imbued with a closeness that demands nothing and never runs out. You do not need to seek it or recognize it for it to exist. That tenderness that sustains, protects, and calms is proof that you have never truly been alone. Even in silence, even when no one seems to notice your existence, there is always care that surrounds and embraces you. There is no moment in which the attention, care, and tenderness of this presence do not reach you. When life's wounds try to convince you of abandonment, when painful memories seem to rise as insurmountable barriers, that closeness becomes a refuge. It is not a protection seen with the eyes but felt in the soul. It is not a gesture dependent on circumstances, but an eternal commitment of companionship. Every tear, every sigh, every hidden thought finds response in this presence. You are never left alone with your emotions. You are never without comfort. Even on days when joy seems absent, the tenderness of companionship remains. It does not depend on there being reasons to celebrate, nor on everything going as you expect. It is present in hours of uncertainty, in days of frustration, and in moments of extreme fatigue. There is no event in your life, no matter how big or small, in which it is not present. Every decision, every challenge, every thought, every gesture is observed, accompanied, and supported with constant care. When the world forgets, when human hands withdraw, when hugs become scarce, the companionship that never abandons always appears. It is not a companionship that runs out, grows tired, or fails. It is tenderness that remains, strength that sustains, care that never interrupts. No circumstance has the power to break this closeness. Even when it seems you are alone, the truth is that you have never been nor will ever be without companionship. The care that is offered does not depend on what you receive, what you give, or how you act. It is care that flows, constant and secure, like a river that never stops moving. It is a presence that hears every thought, understands every emotion, and protects every moment. No matter how desolate a moment may seem, no matter how dim hopes may be, no matter how unjust life may feel, this presence remains near, unchanging, and steadfast. When fear tries to convince you that there is no support, when hopelessness signals that no one is by your side, the tenderness that accompanies reminds you otherwise. There is no abandonment, no emptiness, no helplessness. Every step you take is accompanied by a presence that sustains, guides, and comforts. The battles you face are not fought in solitude. The achievements you reach are not the result of isolation. Every moment is surrounded by care, and the companionship that remains ensures that you never lack support or protection. Even in the most ordinary moments, when routine seems trivial and daily tasks become monotony, this closeness endures. You do not need to do anything extraordinary for companionship to exist. No schedule or place limits the tenderness that accompanies every moment. Every smile, every thought, every breath finds the presence that never withdraws, that never tires, that never retreats. The permanence is eternal, and the closeness is constant. In moments of fear, uncertainty, or anxiety, that companionship acts as an anchor that stabilizes. It does not eliminate challenges, it does not erase difficulties, but it ensures that you face nothing without support. Every tear is held, every confused thought is guided, every doubting heart is strengthened. There is no loneliness that can resist the closeness that remains. When night comes and the darkness seems most intense, when thoughts return and worries take up space, this closeness is still there. It does not depend on your awareness to act. It does not need human recognition or applause to exist. Even when the mind gets lost in doubts or the heart feels abandoned, the tenderness is present, firm and constant, reminding you that no one is ever left alone, no one is ever abandoned, no one is ever without care. Every achievement, every triumph, every step forward is accompanied by this presence. It is not a passive companionship that merely observes, but an active one that propels, accompanies, and strengthens. Every obstacle you overcome, every challenge you face, every moment of effort is sustained by care that does not stop. You never walk alone toward victory, you never face defeat without support. Everything is experienced with accompaniment, everything is lived with constant support, everything transforms into a sign that you were never orphaned. Even when others fail, when human promises are broken, when the hands that should hold withdraw, the companionship that remains does not fail. It never leaves you unprotected, never leaves you alone, never leaves you abandoned. The tenderness that accompanies each moment is unchanging, eternal, constant. It does not depend on merit or circumstances. It does not depend on what others do or what the world provides. It is present, and that is enough to remind you that absolute loneliness does not exist. In the calm of the day, in daily routine, in the silent steps you take, the companionship continues. It is not limited to great moments or extreme situations. Even in the ordinary, it remains tenderness that accompanies, care that protects, presence that does not withdraw. Nothing that happens in your life can prevent this closeness from remaining. Every action, every decision, every moment is surrounded by this constant companionship that ensures that care and attention are never lacking. When painful memories return, when sadness tries to convince you of abandonment, when insecurity wants to fill your heart, the presence that remains is the most real proof that you are never alone. Nothing can break the closeness that sustains and protects. Every step forward is testimony that absolute loneliness does not exist. Every tear held confirms that you were never an orphan. Every moment lived in peace reminds that companionship is eternal. The tenderness that accompanies every moment is silent but powerful. It does not shout or demand, it does not force or condition. It simply remains constant, firm, secure. And every time you feel relief, comfort, or peace, it is evidence that the closeness is real, that you are not unprotected, that you were never left adrift. No matter how distant human hands may seem, no matter how weak human support may be, no matter how erratic the paths you take are, the companionship that remains does not depend on anything external. It does not run out, it does not withdraw, it does not fail. Every moment of your life is protected and cared for, sustained and accompanied, ensuring that you are never, ever alone in this world. No space or time can separate you from that companionship. No force in the world can interrupt it. Eternity itself becomes a guarantee that you will never walk alone. This truth transcends all human understanding because permanence knows no limit, no beginning, and no end. Every journey undertaken, every challenge faced, every joy experienced, is sustained by a presence that does not falter. Even in the deepest uncertainty, when paths seem blurred and horizons become unclear, the companionship remains. It does not depend on conditions, it does not depend on merits, it does not depend on external circumstances. Its existence is absolute and secure, and its reach is infinite. Every lived moment contains evidence that absolute loneliness does not exist, that you never walk without support. The majesty of this companionship is not found in spectacular demonstrations, but in silent consistency. It does not appear to impress or call attention, yet it is powerful beyond any human manifestation. It is present in moments of triumph, in the fiercest battles, in deserts of loneliness, in ordinary days, in every heartbeat, and in every thought that crosses the mind. No corner of existence remains untouched. No instant escapes its care. In every challenge, the presence acts as guide, support, and strength. Nothing encountered can nullify it. Even when the world seems indifferent, when human hands withdraw, when words of encouragement are scarce, the closeness remains. Every obstacle is faced with invisible accompaniment, every fall is cushioned by permanence, and every achievement is shared with silent but real celebration. No isolation can resist that presence because its essence is eternal. Every thought of helplessness, every feeling of abandonment, every moment when loneliness seems to invade, finds response in the certainty that you are not alone. The companionship does not merely observe, it actively participates in every moment. It sustains when steps falter, illuminates when darkness threatens, strengthens when fatigue overwhelms, and comforts when the heart feels weak. It is a constant accompaniment that transcends understanding and provides absolute security. In the greatest triumphs, that closeness remains with silent rejoicing. It is not about applause or public recognition, but about sharing the joy of every advancement, every victory, every achievement reached. Every triumph is testimony that life is not walked alone, that even the most personal achievements are supported by a presence that does not withdraw, that celebrates, strengthens, and accompanies without rest. In the most difficult trials, the companionship becomes even more evident. When strength seems exhausted, when challenges multiply, and when uncertainty lurks, that presence remains firm. It acts as an anchor in the midst of the storm, as a lighthouse in darkness, as strength in weakness. Every tear is collected, every sigh attended, every fear understood and eased. You are never left orphaned, never abandoned, never interrupted. Even in the most ordinary moments, when routine seems trivial and days pass without much notice, the companionship remains active. Every thought that crosses the mind, every emotion that arises, every gesture performed, is wrapped in care, protection, and accompaniment. It is not limited to extraordinary moments. It manifests even in the ordinary, ensuring that absolute loneliness is never experienced. Eternity guarantees that this companionship has no end. There is no day in which it ceases to exist, nor night that can extinguish it. No age, place, or circumstance can alter it. The presence that accompanies is constant as the heartbeat, silent as the air breathed, inseparable as life itself. Every step, every moment, every instant contains the certainty that you never walk in solitude. When uncertainty about the future looms, when fears seem insurmountable, and when thoughts of abandonment threaten to dominate, the truth remains. There is no place where companionship does not exist. Neither distance, nor time, nor adversity can interrupt the closeness that sustains, guides, and protects. Every lived moment, every felt emotion, every conceived thought finds constant presence. Even when losses are perceived, when farewells are faced, or when people fail, the certainty remains. You are never left without companionship. No situation can nullify the closeness that sustains, no moment can interrupt permanence, no space can escape protection and care. Every challenge is faced accompanied, every achievement celebrated accompanied, every tear held accompanied. Every day, upon waking and resting, working and dreaming, permanence continues. It requires no recognition, no gratitude, no human effort to exist. Its action is constant, silent, and real. Every step taken is accompanied, every confused thought guided, every troubled heart supported. There is no situation in life that is not surrounded by this eternal presence. When painful memories return, when anxiety or worry attempt to dominate, when hopelessness hovers over the heart, this companionship is present in a tangible way. It is not fleeting or momentary, it is absolute permanence. Every step forward is strengthened by it, every moment of rest is secure in it, every thought finds clarity in its closeness. The majesty of this presence is not limited to words or feelings, but manifests in every action, in every protection, in every strength, in every silent care. Nothing that happens in the world can nullify it, and nothing that occurs in life can diminish its reach. Every lived moment confirms the reality that you are never alone, never abandoned, and never orphaned. As this prayer concludes, as you reflect on every word, every thought, and every emotion, it becomes clear that life is not walked without companionship. Even in apparent solitude, even in moments of extreme difficulty, even in the most difficult battles and the greatest triumphs, the closeness is absolute. Every instant contains the promise that you will never be alone, that the presence is permanent, and that eternity guarantees the companionship is never interrupted. This is the majestic conclusion and promise of eternity. Life is not traveled alone, the accompanying presence never withdraws, and the closeness that sustains and protects is constant, silent, firm, and eternal. Every step, every thought, every emotion, every moment is accompanied. You will never walk alone in this world. You will never face anything without support. You will never experience absolute loneliness. The promise of eternity ensures that companionship is constant, secure, firm, and enduring.